Hi Dolores, how are you today?
Good, Alan, and yourself?
Very good, very good. I just wanted to have a chat with you, and what I want to talk to you on is around the hospital passport. So I know that's an area you like to kind of, tell parents and give them lots of information. And actually, recently I had to go to A&E with my son Ryan, who was 15. It was quite stressful, and afterwards only thinking you could imagine how stressful it must have been for you to go into the hospital, say with David, or for other parents. So I suppose my kind of first kind of question is, what would be the kind of main challenges, or additional challenges you'd face anytime you had to go in with, say, David?
Well, if it's slightly different with pre-planned hospital appointments there or hospital admissions compared to if unexpectedly that you had to go. But remember, like if it happens there with your son, say now you were able to walk in with him, hopefully it's time right and you could park near or whatever. So that's the first thing that's in my mind on my way up. So it's, do I ring the hospital in advance and say to them, I'm on my way up, my son, this is after happening, we're on our way. Can you get somebody to meet me at the door? Especially with COVID now and all that. So what I would do at present is I would drive up to the door in by the hospital spots, the hospital wheelchair, sorry, parking, hoping that there's a parking there. If not, double park, go to the porter, explain the situation. The porter would normally then maybe come out with a wheelchair or help me with a wheelchair. There has been times I've said you can take the keys and put the car wherever you like. Has been times that has happened. Um, but in the normal time, they'd say, Grant, we'll get him in as fast as we can, follow us in or park the car or something like that. But sometimes you can be very lucky, have somebody with you in the car so they can park the car. So it's great. It's always better actually to have somebody else drive. So if it's a neighbor, even in someone slightly outside the family, even better.
So you're even meaning before you even go,
Or
if you can
even
drag somebody with you, if you have a thought to drag somebody with you, it'll just make things so much easier for you
so
on
much
the
easier
way.
because you can sit in the back of the car and hold the child where and calm the child, or maybe say, look, it's okay and you're really good. No matter what's going through your mind, you have to be calm. And I'm sure that's with every child, but you have to bring it down a lot of notches and be totally calm. Like it's very hard to drive in those situations if you have a child. So I would always call a neighbor if I didn't have somebody in the house. What I have done on other occasions is I've rang my sister who lives near the city or my brother and say, meet me outside the hospital. End of story. Just meet me outside the hospital emergency, meet me there. And because they're always there faster than I am. So they're just little things you need to have planned. This is even
Yeah, actually, yeah, interesting enough. As you were just talking there, I suppose I was thinking we were going to talk in hospital passport, but it actually brings to light straight away about having an emergency plan
oh
in place.
totally.
It's just that, like as you said, it's not. You just can't. By the sounds of you've already got plans in place that right when you go, you have some type of procedure that you're not just running around. Obviously in state of shock, you have something that you can kind of follow. So I suppose that's probably the first thing to get parents to do, is it?
It is, Alan, and that's not me being perfect. That's me having made the mistakes. Do you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And now to make it easier for everyone concerned and people giving out to me after saying, "Why didn't you phone me?" You know, and things like that. So that would be the first thing. So I grabbed the hospital passport. It's always in the same place. Um, so um, David, as you know, likes reading. Now his comprehension wouldn't be great, but he does like to read. So he knows where it is as well, even in the house himself. And he would pick it up an odd time to read it and praise himself for how wonderful he is, you know. But that hospital passport is so valuable because you don't know what you're going to forget. Or
Uh,
and it could be something small that you think is small, which actually could be hugely important to the medical staff. If it's just something small. Um, little things to make David's life easier. Your life is, if you feel that I've told them everything about him, there is nothing, no, I have forgotten because it is in this hospital passport. And then it makes the doctors and nurses' life very easy as well, because if they need to say if David had an operation in Temple Street and they had the doctor's name there, they can check the doctor with the doctor if they want, or lots of consultants work in lots of different hospitals, so they might even be linked and stuff like that. So it's also easier to get the file from hospital records to have everything there, you know. So yeah.
Excellent. No, that's good. The other thing, I suppose, your experience then, I assume hospital staffs are so busy now, but are they kind of open to the hospital passport in the sense, would you think, or do you think it might be actually a good idea for parents to have their hospital passport and maybe just write like a little cover letter or something with like the 10 key points on the front of it? Because I know it is like, a good detailed document.
I actually wouldn't think of the 10 points in the front because they will ask you all the questions themselves anyway. Um, and you will have everything there. And I found the staff actually really like going through it, like a file, like their own medical files. They do go through it. And then they're the ones who are asking you questions on it. Why
Mm-hmm.
was this procedure done? Oh, he got this injection then, so why didn't he get this as well? Or they would have the questions.
Yeah, actually, interesting enough as well. Would you think it's a good document? Because I know, like, when David comes to A&E, people know straight away. But we have lots of families, when they present themselves at A&E with the children, they would assume no different, with their child.
I found that indifferent really, because when Dave broke his jawbone and was in a wheelchair, he was still left sitting inside in the waiting room for a very, very long time. So I think to get past the initial secretaries there, and that is even challenging, I found, when it's not planned, challenging enough. So if they left a child in a wheelchair with a broken jawbone there for several hours, and even people who were next to me, patients, saying, let him go before me, will you go back up to the door again? And I'm vocal enough, and even the people who were sick, who were there hours, were saying to me, please skip the queue, please go with him. So that's where
Yeah,
and then of course by the time parents get in to meet these doctors and nurses who are very, very busy, there's it's not they're deliberately leaving you there, um they're stressed themselves.
yeah.
you
I think
know
that's very good. So I got a lot of that. So first of all, have your emergency plan wrote out first if you have to go. So you have some concept there. When you go, bring it with you. As I said, so as you said, it's not testing your memory. You have it all there, and you're not there going, geez, did I talk about this? And even when you're in between waiting, you can be flicking through to, oh yeah, I must say to them about this, that, and the other. That's it. Can you talk to me a little then? Talk to me, obviously, the difference then when it's actually a planned, do you know what I mean? In the sense that we say David needs to go every 6 months, a year. What's the kind of difference then on that side of it?
Well, the first thing when it's planned is to make sure David isn't stressed.
Okay.
That's the number one. So you give extra time. So for instance, as you know, we live in Cork. So if we were going to Dublin, if you can get up there the night before, great. So, and if David can have a breakfast that morning, great. It's more exciting for him to be staying in the hotel. And it's less pressure for me driving around Dublin then or whatever. So to give yourself loads of time. And again, for the parent not to get stressed. The children pick up on it so, so quickly. So you have to be calmer, have everything ready the night before. So you're not in the morning going, oh, where are my glasses? Where did I put the keys again? Is there a phone charger? Because the kids will automatically pick up on all of this as well. So I find it so much easier when I get there though. And they say, oh yeah, this is David. And I say, yes, it is. And we wait, we're called. And then when the nurse comes in and asks all the questions, I say, actually, we have this written out here for you. And every information is, and they're going, oh, that's absolutely great. So they have the time allotted as well, of course, to do pre-examinations or whatever with David and all the questions. So that's a lot easier.
Yeah, I can see the difference in both sides. So I think that's a lot of good information. So again, just I suppose you're just encouraging parents, get your mercy plan, get your hospital passport together. And I suppose my last question, who would you give a copy to? Who would you kind of
Well, I'd give a copy to the guardians and I would tell every carer if they were coming into the house where it is and what to do if an emergency happens. I would also just put a note there, Alan, as well, that when Dave was in hospital, I left his hospital passport on the little tray by his bed. And even when the tea ladies would come in, they'd pick it up and they'd say, oh, what's this? So David would say, it's my hospital passport, all about me, And so one of them, I remember one lady in particular, she said, it says here, David, you love a cup of tea and biscuits. And he said, I do. Well, she said, you know what now? I'll bring you in a nice cup of tea and biscuit there. So even that little amount, because
Yeah.
they automatically see a child where they don't know what's going on. So they thought David couldn't manage hot drinks. And they wouldn't have brought him hot drinks unless, so, and then they actually, this lady in particular, and it was lovely, and she said, will we bring your mum a cup of tea as well? But it was only for the hospital passport. The lady that was her way of actually interacting with David.
Very good, yeah.
So that little small thing, even it says there, David, that you love Cars movie. We actually have that in the video here. And those little things, I know they might sound so small, but when a child is recovering, it can make it a lot easier. So I'm even just going down into the fine writings that you could have in it. And remember as well to have it updated, but always keep it in the same spot. Let all the family members know where it is. And if you're going out and you have someone staying with David, so they know exactly where it is as well.
Great. I think that's excellent. So thanks for your time, Dolores.
No
and,
bother, Alan.
see you
Thanks.
next time.